Hello, everyone. Happy Friday to you. It's Mac. It's Friday's Chat with Mac. I'm here with our fearless leader, Nadeem. How's it going, sir?
Oh, pretty good, Mac. How are you doing?
I'm I'm tired. I'm really sleepy. I'm not
It's
like
been,
seriously speaking. I'm
yeah,
sleepy.
it's been a busy, long week. We had a great outcome at that
Massive
Texas
outcome.
CPA webinar that
Yes.
we did.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I think was it like 201 or 204 people?
204 people showed
Four.
up. Yep.
Yeah. So that was that was a lot of people, and I know I get caught up in things and I go a little over my allotted time. So I know towards the end there, people were like, "Oh, he's trying to hurry up," and because a voice in my ear said, "Hey, you need to speed up. You've gone over your hour. You need to speed up things."
But it was some great information that was being shared. Some really good information.
Yeah. So, I was thinking about this and I was doing some calculations, and it occurred to me, that there'll be something good to talk about. It's a tip. So, if I'm sure in the audience there are people who are like, Excel veterans, and they probably already know this. So in Excel, of course, you can use the formulas like people normally do, but then there is something called Power Pivot.
Hmm.
So in Excel, you can consolidate large amounts of data using Power Pivot. And then you can also, in Office 365, you have something called Power BI. So if you want to go further and you have a lot more data, then you can throw it into Power BI and do your analysis and assessments over there. So I want to talk a little bit about that middle ground, which is Power Pivot, which gives you a lot of capability to consolidate and manipulate large amounts of data. And I'm just going to, go through it. And a lot of viewers that they can go do some research, see what Power Pivot can do. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what it can do. It can do a lot more. The way I use it is, for example, last time I used it was to consolidate certain items with a wildcard on it. So let's say I had an item starting with a certain word, and then after that I wanted to put a wildcard. So I use Power Pivot table to do that, and it will do that wild card on there. So it's not like A or B. It's like A and it could be A B or A B C. So it'll capture things like that. So let me share my screen real quick, and we'll go through that. Let's see. I have Excel open over here, and I'll put some numbers in there. So now you can, of course, create charts, you can create your stuff and things like that, but there's no fun in that, and that kind of runs into its limits when you have tons of data. In this case, it's not a lot of data, it's only a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in here, we're going to go into insert, and we're going to choose power pivot table. So we're going to go ahead and use pivot table. We're going to select a range, and let's just select that entire range, okay? And then location, that's fine. It's in E3, that's fine. And I'm going to say, go ahead and hit OK there. So I'm going to say, go ahead and do items, and go ahead and do dollars. And then, and of course, you can click the down arrow, and you can, sort or choose certain fields. If you have tons of data, that comes in handy. So you can selectively choose what to include in there. But anyway, so now you have this data consolidated over here. Now, one thing in pivot tables is that you can extend this not just to create tables like consolidating a bunch of data, but you can also create charts. Now let me give you another example. So let's say auto one, we have 2000 over here. So just to give you an example of what it looks like, and let me just delete this guy right here. All right, so let me go into insert, and I'm going to do this time. I'm going to do pivot chart and table, right? So let me select this guy right here. That's my range. We're going to do items and dollars. Okay. and then the values are going to be sum of dollars. So you can see down here I'm doing sum of dollars. Now here's what I wanted to show you. So if I move this a little bit out of the way, so you can see how I might have tons of entries for auto 1, but over here it actually consolidated all of auto 1. You see it went to 3,000 because of this 1,000 and then 2,000, and it automatically consolidated, and we have 3,000. And we can confirm that over here where it says auto 1 is 3,000, which it automatically calculated the sum because we chose the sum. So that's just a glimpse of what pivot tables and pivot charts can do for you. Not only can you consolidate data, but you can consolidate data very easily. And then once you have data in your pivot table, you can actually connect it with Power BI. Now, once data is connected into Power BI, you can have another source related to it, and that source could be in SQL Server. So, for example, we might have auto 1 and auto 2 over here, but then we might have a ton more data, historic data in SQL Server for auto 1. Well, we can connect to that and then do further analysis in Power BI. So, if you guys work with Excel, go ahead and look at pivot table and pivot charts. It just helps you work with a lot more data and also display it visually. And then while you're in there, look at some of the options. Like, for example, in here it says recommended pivot tables. Try some of that. Pivot chart analyze. Try some of that. Try some of these options. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these options on the back end use AI, which is being rolled out to a lot of tenants in Office 365. So not everybody would have that, but it is being rolled out. But the system will intelligently try to recommend what type of chart or how you want to maybe portray this data, what would make sense. So it kind of tries to analyze on what kind of data it is and then make a recommendation based on that, how you would want to represent it. So you can see what the trends are. And that's what it's used for. I use it a lot for trending. And I wish I had some existing data I can show you guys, but it's production data, so it's confidential data. But we use it a lot for budgeting. So we might have historic budgets, and then we want to extrapolate future budgets, and then have a recommended budget, and then kind of see what some of the trends are. And I use pivot tables and pivot charts for that. It helps out a lot. People are saying, we're going to have so much data that Excel is going to be a thing of the past, but I don't think Excel is going to go away anytime soon.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no. Excel is here to stay. Now, Access, which is kind of like, kind of rolling off the the mainstream. That makes sense because Access was really it was supposed to handle more data, but then it really doesn't. I mean, you can connect Excel to SQL data on the back end and run your analysis that you want to run, which can handle a lot more data than Access ever can. So that's the good thing about Excel, is that it can extend existing systems, existing databases like SQL Server or things like that, where you have a ton of data, but you can connect to it using Excel and then run your analysis and things like that on there. So go ahead and try pivot tables, pivot charts, play with it, see how it can help you consolidate data. I use it quite often to consolidate different kinds of data and create visual charts so that it's easy for a human to understand. And that's what pivot charts do for you. But I haven't really tried a lot of recommended pivot tables, but let's go ahead and try it. So I clicked on that. It picked out the data, and it's already showing me how you might want to. It's already recommending me a pivot table. So that's pretty much what I had to begin with, right? That's what I had originally. So it's recommending me the same thing. But yeah, that's pretty good. Now, of course, over here, we can have, different value field settings. So we can, like, the default is doing sum, but I can do an average or, max, min, whatever. I mean, the options are just endless, but I just wanted to give everybody a little taste of what pivot tables can do and what they are, and how maybe they can help somebody crunch their numbers and make their life easier.
Are there any specific, I'm pretty sure this is great with financial institutions or financial, businesses. What about, manufacturing, especially with us, we run a gamut as far as who we work with and reach out to. But with this, is there one vertical that uses it better than the other, or can everyone use it?
Yeah, so any vertical can use it because it's not just about numbers. I just gave an example of dollar amounts, but that doesn't have to be dollar amounts. It could be an inventory count, right? So it could be different parts that you use to build a product, and it could just be inventory counts for those different parts. So for example, you make a product A from widget 1, widget 2, widget 3, and then you want to run an analysis on, you have 1,000 widget A's on hand and 200 widget B's on hand. How many product A's can you make? I mean, things like that. So, and you want to show it in an easy, quickly, at a glance type way, so people can just look at it at a glance and know, about how many products can you make because you have so many widgets and a constraint on so many other widgets. Do you need to order some more widget B's because they're maybe low? So it can give you a good trend and idea of all of that. And so it doesn't have to be just financial. I mean, I see, I know a lot of banks use it, but I see companies, all kinds of verticals using it. Accounting firms, manufacturing companies, even retail. So even in retail, a lot of times they wanna see that when a certain threshold is hit, they want to start ordering some more of some product, or they might start, if they are collecting data over time, they might start seeing some trends. For example, they use a certain ingredient more in a certain month. So then they can get ready before that month. They can order it and have it on hand, whatever ingredient that is. So if it's a restaurant and they see they use more salt in August, well, then they can have extra salt on hand because they know every August they use more salt. So
that's really good.
The way I use it more is to consolidate data based on some wildcards, and that's what I use it more for. So for example, I might have just an idea is I might have something called printer 1 Xerox, printer 2 Canon, printer 3 Konica, and then I want to consolidate the amounts for anything starting with printer, right? So that way I'm consolidating the cost for all printers. That's just an example. So I can do that very easily with pivot tables and have that wild card in there. So it's just boom, it's calculating everything, giving me their total. And then it also draws out a graph and tells me where my costs are going, where I need to maybe look at, make the biggest impact, where I need to cut some costs or things like that. So yeah, I mean, it helps out. Check for pivot tables. There's a lot of tutorials about it. Microsoft has done a few. There's a lot of third parties who do tutorials about pivot table. But if you haven't looked into that, it really helps you consolidate a lot of data. So if you have a lot of data, you want to look at pivot tables and pivot charts.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
So look into that, Mac, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that. The good thing is that you're not painting yourself in a corner when you're using pivot tables, because if your data goes beyond a certain threshold where maybe your pivot table is taking too long to calculate or update, then you can always connect it to Power BI, and you can connect pivot tables directly to Power BI, and it can very easily import pivot table data. And actually, that's the same format or structure that Power BI uses is the idea of pivot tables. That's how it consolidates bulk data, is using pivot tables. So yeah, it's some good stuff there.
Awesome.
So, in our goal to keep everything short and not go over a lot of time like we did yesterday, I say we call it a day, and you can kind of tell my voice is kind of going a little hoarse.
It is. It is.
This week has just been, but I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. So there's always that. So, what have you got planned for the weekend, Mac?
Well, I guess you call empty nester now. My daughter moved out on her own, so I'm trying to process that. So not a lot.
Yeah, that's always a big change. I was talking to a friend I haven't talked to in a long time. He was into motorcycles like me, and then he got into RVing, and then so last time I spoke with him, he had an RV that he towed a Jeep behind it, a Jeep Wrangler, and he was going into all kinds of places. So I was talking to him and I asked him, I was like, hey, are you still going on RV trips and stuff? And he was like, oh no, man, I sold that RV. And I'm like, oh really? I'm like, well, are you doing anything on the Jeep? And he was like, no, it was a package deal. I sold the Jeep with the RV. I'm like, so what are you doing now? And he said, just sitting around getting fat. And I'm like, what?
I mean,
so yeah, a lot of people that I used to ride with, they're not riding as much. I think it's they're just kind of retiring, and as you get older, things don't heal as fast.
man, ain't that the truth? Good Lord. I just
Yeah.
started going back to the gym for the first time in God knows how long. And let me tell you, Nadine, my body is not recovering as fast as it
Yeah.
used to. It's yeah.
It's telling you, hey, you
It's
have muscle
telling me
there.
the 40s here, yeah.
So yeah, it's no, it's been, and I'm having fun. I mean, the webinar we did,
Webinar was
and
awesome.
and yeah, that was awesome. And then
Yes.
all these other calls that are going on. We have a lot of security being top of mind. I mean,
Yep.
so customers who would have never thought about security, or who we have approached about security, and I'm not going to name any names, but I got an email last night, and one of the customers we had actually talked about security to, and they didn't want anything to do with it, and all of a sudden I get this email, and they're in the health industry, and one of their I don't want to say auditors, but yeah, one of their auditors said that, hey, that there is an active threat on companies in the health industry, and there's a warning to be cautious because there is an active threat going out right now. And I think this came from the FBI or something, and I was and so they reached out to me and says, hey, what do we have to do? Are we good? Are we protected? And I'm like, no, you're not. You need to put in some of the things we've been talking to you about. Put some of these protections in place.
Oh man, I think I know who it is. But
Yeah, and then and I know one of the things that we hadn't talked to them about was cyber insurance. So I did tell them, I was like, look, you have to put these protections in place so you're protected, but you still have to make sure you have cyber insurance,
yep.
because and of course, when I say you have to have cyber insurance, don't just add cyber insurance as as an add-on to your umbrella insurance. That doesn't work out. You want to make sure that you have a strategic cyber insurance package in place that is assessed correctly, so when it comes time for a claim, you get paid out.
Yep.
Like more than half of claims get rejected. They don't get paid out by cyber insurance companies because people are not doing their due diligence. People are not keeping up with their policy. They're not enforcing their policy that they're
That's
saying they're
true.
going to enforce.
Yep.
Now, this stuff, the insurance company is not going to come to you and say, hey, you said you have this policy in place, but we see you don't. They're not going to say that. But when they do a forensic analysis after a claim is filed, then they will see, oh, by the way, you said you had this policy in place, but you don't. So we're going
Right.
to deny this claim, or we're going to only partially pay this claim. We see that all the time, partial payments or complete denials because companies were not putting in place a policy they said they had in place. So if you have cyber insurance, then make sure that you're assessing it, you're auditing it, you make sure that you are doing what you're saying you're doing, because if you're not, that's an easy way out for the insurance companies
It
when it comes down
sure
to
is. Yep.
it. Yep. So as always, Mac, I enjoyed talking to you. But
Always.
I've got a couple of calls waiting, and I got packed day. I got busy day tomorrow too, but it's fun. So but I'll talk to everybody on Monday, but Mac, I'll probably talk to you on Monday too.
Yep.
So
Always.
yep, we'll be back. So everybody have a good day and be safe out there.
Everybody have a good one.